morning children. Today we are going to see history lesson 3, the Delhi Sultans. Okay. See children, in chapter 2 we saw that regions like the Kaveri Delta became the center of large kingdoms, right? Chola kingdom emerged in Kaveri Delta region, right? But at the time we didn't talk about Delhi, right? Why? Because Delhi was not an important city in 11th century and all. Okay, when Delhi became an important city? Only in 12th century. Okay, so till the time Delhi was like other cities only, but during Tamora Rajput's period only, Delhi became the capital city of their kingdom. Okay, so Delhi became the capital of a kingdom under the Tamora Rajputs. Okay, then Tamora Rajputs were defeated by the Chauhans. Chahamanas later they were known as Chauhans, right? They defeated Tamora Rajputs, so Delhi became under the control of whom? Chauhans, right? See, if we say Chauhans immediately, you remember whom? Prithviraj Chauhan, right? Okay. Then Tamoras and Chauhans during their period, Delhi became an important commercial center. See children, very first Delhi became the capital of Tamoras Rajputs period only. Don't get confused. After that only Chauhan's period, it flourished more and more. Got it? But the question may come, whose period Delhi became the capital of a kingdom? The Tamora Rajputs. Got it? So don't get confused. Then after that, their period, many rich China merchants. See, Tamuras were defeated by Chauhans because the Chauhans were their neighboring kingdom. Then after that, when there was an efficient ruler, Chauhans started to invade Delhi and they captured Delhi. Got it? So that after Tamodra Rajputs, then Chauhans ruled over Delhi. But basically, both of their rule under their rule, Delhi became an important city because those time Jaina merchants, Jainism, one of the religion, right? Jaina merchants lived in the city and constructed several temples. Even coins were minted. That place was called Delhi Wall. So, Delhi Wall means a place where coin was minted. Got it? So, Delhi Wall. D-E-H-L-I. Delhi Wall. W-A-L. So, Delhi Wall means those time coins minted over there. So, a place where coins were minted is known as Delhi Wall. Got it? Then the evolution of Delhi started during Sultan's period. After that only Delhi controlled over vast areas of the subcontinent. Okay. Then Sultanate in the beginning of the 13th century, they started to establish their rule over India. Then actually the Delhi Sultans means nearly 5 dynasties came under the Delhi Sultans. Okay. And see children, Delhi means as we see like a small city. It had huge land mass. That's why it became a kingdom like. The Delhi Sultans built many cities in the area that we now know as Delhi. Okay, so you look at the map children, there Delhi, Huna, then Siri and Jahanpana, these are the cities that built by Delhi Sultans. Okay, now we will see about the rulers of Delhi. See children, in fact the Delhi Sultanate was an Islamic empire based in Delhi that stretched over a large part of the Indian subcontinent. nearly 5 dynasties ruled for 320 years. Okay, over the Sultanate. See children, Sultanate means nothing but kingdom. It denotes kingdom. Okay, so nearly 5 dynasties ruled over Indian subcontinent. So children, we will see one by one. For very first, we will see about Rajput dynasties. Under Rajput dynasties, two rulers will come. One is Tamuras. In that Tamura dynasties, Anangabala was the one of the efficient rulers. Then Chauhans, we know Chauhans are known as Chahamanas. And under Chauhans, Prithviraj Chauhan was an efficient ruler. We know very well, right? So Rajput dynasties, Tamura Rajputs and Chauhans fall under Rajput dynasties. Got it? So Tamura rulers, Anangabala was one of the powerful ruler. Then Chauhan's ruling, during the Chauhan's period, Prithviraj Chauhan was one of the efficient rulers, isn't it? These both fall under the Rajput dynasties. But the question is, which ruler first established his capital at Delhi? The Tamura Rajputs, right? So the Tamura Rajputs were the first rulers who established their capital at Delhi, isn't it? Don't forget it, children, because next we are going to see about Delhi Sultans, Muslim rulers, Turkish rulers we are going to see about. Okay, so first we are going to see about early Turkish rulers. See children, Rajputs Rajputs rule almost got over. So now Turks started their rule almost 84 years, Turkish rulers. So Delhi was under the rule of Turkish. Who were they? First, Qutbuddin Aybak. See children, the word Sultan in Arabic means ruler. Okay, so the kingdom established by them came to be known as Delhi Sultanate. Got it? So Sultan means ruler and kingdom means Sultanate. So Delhi Sultanate, the word derived from Arabic. Got it? So children, we saw about Qutbuddin Aybak. Then in fact one more fact I wanted to tell you. See children, Qutbuddin Aybak was a great builder. He built so many mosques, but especially he began the construction of the famous Qutb Minar, but could not complete it because he died in the year 1210. So after an accidental fall while playing polo, he fell down and he died. So after his death, his successor Iltutmish came to the throne and he completed the Minar, Qutb Minar. Okay, so Qutb Minar was built by Qutbuddin Aybak, but it was completed by Iltutmish. Okay, see children, Turkish ruler, if you see in your book Turkish ruler, don't get panic. They came from Turkey, so that they were called as Turkish rulers. Okay, so first Turkish ruler was Qutbuddin Aybak. Then after that Shamsuddin Iltutmish. Iltutmish's full name was Shamsuddin Iltutmish. Then he only completed Qutb Minar, right? Already I have told you, right? Actually, he also was a efficient ruler. Got it? Then after that, Sultana Razia. Sultana Razia was the first and the last woman among the Muslim rulers who sat on the throne of Delhi. So we should not forget it about our Sultana Razia. We will see it afterwards, okay? Then Ghiyasuddin Balban. Ghiyasuddin Balban also was one of the efficient rulers because he brought so many administrative reforms and all. We will see it above. Okay, so first we saw about early Turkish rulers. In that 4 names I have told you. Who were they? Qutbuddin Aybak, Shamsuddin Iltutmish, then Sultana Razia, then Ghiasuddin Balban. See, these are the new names to you children. So again and again, if you read it only, it will be familiar to you. So that frequently I used to tell you who were they, who were the Turkish rulers. So far we have seen Qutbuddin Aybek, Shamsuddin Iltutmish, then Sultana Razia, then Ghiasuddin Balban, right? Then Khalji dynasty came into power. The rulers were Jalaluddin Khalji and Alauddin Khalji. See, Jalaluddin Khalji was the founder of Khalji dynasty. Then Alauddin Khalji was the successor of Jalaluddin Khalji. Okay, because Jalaluddin Khalji ascended the throne, he was 70 years old. So, after a rule of 6 years, he was killed by his nephew Alauddin Khalji, who declared himself the Sultan. Okay. See children, now I am going to tell about Alauddin Khalji. Afterwards, I will tell you about Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Okay. Now, let us see about Alauddin Khalji. See, Alauddin Khalji ruled over 1296 to 1316. See, he was the first sultan to build an empire. See, until he came to the throne, the sultanate was area-wise little bit small. But after he became as a sultan, he expanded his power. So he built an empire. So he was an ambitious ruler and shrewd administrator and a wise general. So basically, he was an efficient ruler. See children, as soon as he occupied the throne, he set up a campaign to extend his empire. So he conquered neighboring areas of Gujarat, Malwa, and almost the whole of Rajasthan came under his control. In fact, after that he concentrated through southern part of India, especially in the Deccan. His forces raided Devagiri, Warangal, and Dwarasamudra. And after conquesting, he did not annex the territories. As long as the defeated kings agreed to acknowledge his authority and pay tributes to him. So he allowed them to continue as rulers, but they paid tributes. Then his plundering campaigns, already I have told you, we have seen in Muhammad Ghazini's plundering Somnath temple in Gujarat, right? Plundering means நிறைய வெல்த்தை வந்து எடுத்துட்டு போகிறது, சூறையாடிட்டு போகிறது. So his plundering campaigns in Srirangam in Tamil Nadu, Sriranganathar Swami temple is there, no? Srirangam. Then Madurai and Rameshwaram made him rich. So his plundering campaigns in Srirangam, Madurai and Rameshwaram made him rich, that much of wealth carried by Alauddin Khalji. Where did he take? To his capital city, Delhi. Okay. Children, we are going to see about his military reforms and economic reforms and all in detail. Okay. Now we are going to see about Tughlaq dynasty. They ruled over Delhi on 1320 to 1414. See, the founder of Tughlaq dynasty was Ghiasuddin Tughlaq. He was successor of Alauddin Khalji. So children, so far we have discussed about Rajput dynasties. In the Rajput dynasty, Tamuras ruler, one of the efficient ruler was Anangapala. Then we saw about Chauhans. In that, Prithviraj Chauhan was the one of the efficient ruler, right? Then we saw about early Turkish rulers from 1206 to 1290. Under the early Turkish rulers who were coming, Qutbuddin Aybek, Iltutmish, then Sultana Razia, then Ghiasuddin Balban, isn't it? Then afterwards we saw about Khalji dynasty, right? In that, Jalaluddin Khalji was the founder of Khalji dynasty. Then Alauddin Khalji was the successor of Jalaluddin Khalji, isn't it? Now we are going to see about Tughlaq dynasty. So Ghazuddin Tughlaq was the founder of Tughlaq dynasty. After Alauddin Khalji died, Ghazuddin Tughlaq captured the throne. So he found Tughlaq dynasty. He was the first ruler of Tughlaq dynasty, isn't it? Yes. Now we are going to see about Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Muhammad bin Tughlaq was the successor of whom? Ghazuddin Tughlaq, right? Because he was the founder of Tughlaq dynasty. After Ghazuddin Tughlaq killed by Muhammad bin Tughlaq, Muhammad bin Tughlaq became the Sultan of Delhi. Got it? So, in fact, we will see about his reforms and all in detail. Okay. In fact, in history, he was often called the wisest fool in history or a mixture of opposites because basically he was a learned man. He was a scholar of philosophy, mathematics, astronomy and logic, but he was an impractical person. So some of his schemes and administrative measures almost ruined the empire and made him unpopular. That's why he was often called the wisest fool in history. Okay, we will see in detail. Then Muhammad bin Tughlaq was succeeded by Firoz Shah Tughlaq. Okay, so Firoz Shah Tughlaq was the successor of Muhammad bin Tughlaq. So children, we saw about three Tughlaq dynasty rulers. Who were they? Ghazuddin Tughlaq, then Muhammad bin Tughlaq, then Firoz Shah Tughlaq. Isn't it? Yes. Ghazuddin Tughlaq ruled over Delhi 1320 to 1324. Then Muhammad bin Tughlaq ruled over 1324 to 1351. Then Firoz Shah Tughlaq ruled over Delhi around 1351 to 1388. Okay. Then after Firoz Shah Tughlaq, Sayyid dynasty took over the throne. Next, Sayyid dynasty came to power. Khizr Khan was the one of the efficient rulers and he also was the founder of Sayyid dynasty. Then at last Lodi dynasty captured the throne. In that Lodi dynasty, Bahlul Lodi, then Sikandar Lodi, then Ibrahim Lodi were the powerful rulers. Actually, Ibrahim Lodi was the last ruler of Lodi dynasty. Okay. See children, now we are going to see about finding out about the Delhi Sultans. See, before moving into this topic, let me ask you a question. Name the 5 dynasties that together made the Delhi Sultanate. Who are they? Early Turkish rulers, then Khalji dynasty, Tughlaq dynasty, then Sayyid dynasty, and at last Lodi dynasty, isn't it? These 5 dynasties that together made the Delhi Sultanate. Got it? Don't forget it. Okay, now we will see about the sources and what are the historical evidences help the historian to find out Delhi Sultans. Okay? Coins, inscriptions, architecture, isn't it? They are the very important sources or evidences available to find out Delhi Sultans. But not only these coins, inscriptions, architecture, but also histories. Histories is also known as Tariq. It is in singular word Tariq, and Tawarik means plural. It denotes history only. So those times there were a person sitting and writing for the ruler. See, nowadays we are writing autobiography, right? Writing by ourselves. But those times there were a person sitting and writing for the ruler. So they were called Tawarik. So Tariq means a singular word, then Tawarik means plural. So both words refers to history. Okay, so Tariq, these are all new words. So I am telling you again and again, Tariq and Tawarik, these are histories only. The Tariq is a singular form and Tawarik means plural of Tariq. Okay, so Tariq and Tawarik was written by learned scholars. In whose period? Sultan's period. Okay, so these are also very important sources to find about the Delhi Sultans. Got it, children? But these Tariq and Tawarik were written in Persian language because it was their official language, administrative language was Persian. Okay, so everything was written in Persian language. So what was the language for used for in the administration in the Delhi Sultans? Persian language. Got it? See children, now we will see about the authors of Tariq and Tawarik. Okay? See children, the authors of Tawarik were learned men. Already I have told you, no? Learned scholars, right? So, the authors of Tawarik were learned men. See, then obviously then only they can write history, right? So, they were learned men. Basically, they were secretaries, administrators, poets, and courtiers. Okay, so who were they? The author of Tawarik were learned men, secretaries, administrators, poets, and courtiers. Okay, so the authors of Tawarik kept a record of history, isn't it? Because they only wrote histories, isn't it? Then also they gave advice to the king. Which is wrong, which is right, and similarly like analysis. Actually, whether it is going right way or wrong way, administration is in which level, everything on, and also some advices also was given by the authors of Tawarik. Okay, you know children, the authors of Tawarik lived in cities, mainly Delhi, and hardly ever in villages. So mainly they lived in Delhi. Then they often wrote their histories for sultans in the hope of rich rewards. Yeah, in order to get rich rewards, they often wrote their histories. Isn't it? Then these authors advised rulers on the need to preserve an ideal social order based on birthright and gender distinctions. Their ideas were not shared by everybody. See children, these authors always insisted to the king to follow the birthright and gender distinctions. See children, let me tell you about birthright. See, privileges claimed on account of birth. அதாவது அவங்களுடைய பர்த்தை வச்சு தான் அவங்களுக்கு கிடைக்கிற சலுகைகள் ஃபிக்ஸ் ஆகுங்கிறது. ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள், பீப்புள் பிலீவ்ட் தட் நோபல்ஸ் inherited their rights to govern because they were born in certain families. See, born with silver spoon சொல்கிறோம்ல, அந்த மாதிரி அவங்களுடைய பர்த் ஹை கிளாஸில் பிறந்திருந்தாங்களா, நோபல்ஸ் ஃபேமிலியில் பிறந்திருந்தாங்கன்னா அவங்களுக்குள்ள ரைட்ஸ் இருக்கும். அதர்வைஸ் இல்லை அப்படிங்கிற அந்த பர்த் ரைட். அட் த சேம் டைம் ஜெண்டர் டிஸ்டிங்ஷன்ஸ், மேல் அண்ட் ஃபிமேல், இப்போ இருக்கிற இந்த டிஸ்டிங்ஷன்ஸ் இட் இஸ் நாட் ஸ்டார்டட் இன் at present, it started in the earlier days itself. So gender distinctions, social and biological differences between women and men, usually these differences are used to argue that men are superior to women. See, at present also this debate is going on, isn't it? So விமன் எப்போவுமே மென்னுக்கு சபார்டினேட்டாக தான் இருக்கணும், சுப்பீரியராக இருக்கக்கூடாதுங்கிற அந்த ஒரு ஐடியாலஜி தோஸ் டைம் இருந்தது. ஸோ தட் திஸ் authors of Tawarik insisted to the king to follow birthright and gender distinctions. Okay? See children, in this lesson they have told you about 4 stages in the making of a manuscript. So now we will see about the 4 stages in the making of a manuscript. Okay, the first step, preparing the paper. Okay, then second, writing the text. Then third step, melting gold to highlight important words and passages. Then fourth one, preparing the binding. Okay, these were the 4 stages in the making of a manuscript. See children, 4 stages in the making of a manuscript has been given in your textbook. So please read it properly. Okay. See children, now we are going to see about Sultana Razia and what Minhaj-i-Siraj thought about Razia. See, already we have discussed about birthright and gender distinctions which were followed during Sultan's period, isn't it? Yes, for that only these examples they have given. Why? Because Sultana Razia is a woman, isn't it? But she became a ruler of Delhi. But due to gender distinctions, she was removed from the throne in 1240. Only 4 years she ruled over Delhi. See, let me tell you about Sultana Razia. Actually, Sultana Razia was the daughter of Sultan Iltutmish. They belonged to which dynasty, children? They were early Turkish rulers, isn't it? Qutbuddin Aybak was the Sultan of Delhi. Then after that Iltutmish. Then after Iltutmish, his daughter Razia became the Sultan of Delhi in the year 1236. Okay, so Sultana Razia was the daughter of whom? Iltutmish. Okay, so she was very talented. In fact, she was even though Iltutmish had sons, but he thought that Sultana Razia was the capable one because rather than his sons. So Sultana Razia was very talented. In fact, according to the chronicler of the age, Minhaj-i-Siraj, he said that she was more able and qualified than all her brothers. But she was not accepted when she became a ruler. Why? Because of gender distinctions. That's it. Those were the days when women were not allowed to enjoy independent identity. They were supposed to be subordinate to men. So this led to her removal from the throne in the year 1240. So when she became Sultan of Delhi in the year 1236, then within 4 years she was removed from the throne. So 1240 Sultana Razia was removed from the throne because of gender distinctions. Okay. See children, now we are going to see about the expansion of Delhi Sultanate from garrison town to empire. See, here 2 words are new. First, let me explain about that words, then we will go into the topic. Okay. Here, garrison town. What do you mean by garrison town? It's nothing but a fortified settlement with soldiers. அதாவது என்ன சொல்லுது ஃபோர்ட்டு கோட்டை இருக்குல்ல கோட்டை சோல்ஜர்ஸோட எப்பவுமே வந்து ரொம்ப அலர்ட்டாக இருக்கிற ஒரு கோட்டை அந்த செட்டில்மெண்ட் அங்கே எப்பவும் ஃபுல்லாக அந்த ஃபோர்ட்டில் ஃபுல் ஆஃப் சோல்ஜர்ஸ் தான் இருப்பாங்க. எனி டைம் எனி வார் டிக்ளரேஷன் they will come into the war front. So that a garrison town used built by sultanates and it was in the empire here and there. So many garrison towns were there. At the same time, hinterland means the lands adjacent to a city or port. அதாவது port, you know the meaning of port, no? துறைமுகம், அதாவது harbor. Okay. So here trade will be import and export will be there, right? So that adjacent to a city or port, that is called hinterland. Okay. See children, initially this Delhi Sultans first protect themselves rather than expanding their empire. முதல்ல அவங்களுடைய கிங்டம் ரொம்ப சேஃப்டி பண்ணிக்கிறதுலையே they focused, not rather than டு எக்ஸ்பேண்ட் த டெரிட்டரிஸ். அவங்களுடைய எம்பையரை எக்ஸ்பேண்ட் பண்ணுறதை விட இருக்கிற எம்பையரை எப்படி சேஃப்டியாக ப்ரொடெக்டிவாக வச்சுக்கணுங்கிறதுலையே தே கான்சன்ட்ரேட்டட். So that in order to consolidate it, in order to consolidate all the hinterlands and garrison towns, they planned. So that is called the first set of campaigns along the internal frontiers. Why, sometimes the garrison towns are very difficult to handle by the sultans, because for example Bengal, Sindh, the distance in the distance area, which were garrison towns were there, right? They used to sometimes the soldiers rebelled against king. So it was those time it was very difficult to control them due to communications and bad weather, even distance. All of the factors were not favor for the king sometimes. So that they thought that it should be controlled. How? We have to connect to everyone. We have to consolidate everyone. Garrison town to hinterland. Then only it should be coming under the control of Delhi Sultans. So that they planned and they executed internal frontiers campaigns. In that, what did they do? Sultanate aimed at consolidating the hinterlands of the garrison towns. During these campaigns, what did they do? In between, forest will be there, right? See, from Bengal to Delhi, in between they have to cross many forest areas. What did they do? The sultans, what is that? They cut down trees and they cleared forests, and lands were given to the farmers to cultivate. Because for two purposes. One thing, all the lands coming under the control of sultans. That another thing, in order to improve the agriculture. So that they gave the lands to the clearing forest areas were given to the farmers to cultivate. Okay. So during these campaigns, forests were cleared in the Ganga, Yamuna, Doab, and for that hunter-gatherers and pastoralists, basically farmers only, expelled from their habitat. அங்கிருந்து அவங்களை எல்லாத்தையும் வெளியேற்றிடுறாங்க. So these lands were given to peasants and agriculture was encouraged. Then new fortresses, garrison towns and towns were established to protect trade routes and to promote regional trade. So in order to develop trade, they fortified so many forts and gave more protection for trade. Okay, next. The second expansion occurred along the external frontier of the Sultanate. It means internal, after they consolidated, what did they do? They focused to capture other territories. External, their focus irunduchu. So that the second expansion occurred along the external frontier of the Sultanate. Actually, military expeditions into southern India started during the reign of Alauddin Khalji. So Alauddin Khalji kept eye on southern part of India. So what did he do? He started to invade and he did military expeditions. மிலிட்டரி எக்ஸ்பெடிஷன்ஸ்னால் என்னென்னா தமிழில் இராணுவ தாக்குதல் நடத்துறதுன்னு சொல்லுவாங்க. மிலிட்டரி அட்டாக், அதுதான் மிலிட்டரி எக்ஸ்பெடிஷன்ஸ் into southern India started during the reign of whose period? Alauddin Khalji. Then it was continued by Muhammad bin Tughlaq also. Okay, so in their campaigns, Sultanate armies captured elephants, horses and slaves and carried away precious metals. Children, அவங்களுடைய அட்டாக், மிலிட்ரி அட்டாக் டைமில் என்ன பண்ணுறாங்க? சுல்தானுடைய ஆர்மிஸ் எல்லாம் எதெல்லாம் எடுத்துகிட்டு போனாங்க? சதர்ன் பார்ட்லேருந்து கிடைச்ச வரைக்கும் எலிஃபென்ட்ஸு, ஹார்சஸ்ஸு, அப்புறம் நிறைய பேர்த்த அடிமைகளாக பிடிச்சிட்டு போயிட்டாங்க, ஸ்லேவ்ஸாக. அண்ட் அது மட்டும் இல்லாமல் கேரிட் அவே ப்ரெஷியஸ் மெட்டல்ஸ் லைக் கோல்டு, சில்வர், even iron, everything, so many precious metals எல்லாம், copper, everything, whatever they got, they carried away with them. So in their campaigns, in their second external frontier campaigns, sultanate armies captured elephants, horses, because எதுக்கு அதெல்லாம் யூஸ் பண்ணுவாங்க, லேட்டரான அவங்களுடைய ஆர்மியில் அதை யூஸ் பண்ணிக்குவாங்க. இங்கேருந்து பிடிச்சிட்டு போன எலிஃபென்ட்ஸ், ஹார்சஸ், இங்கேருந்து பிடிச்சிட்டு போன ஸ்லேவ்ஸ், அடிமைகள் எல்லாத்தையும் அவங்களுடைய ஒர்க்குக்கு யூஸ் பண்ணிப்பாங்க. And of course precious metals are used to make jewels, then even weapons itself. Okay children, now we will see about the masjid. Look at this picture. In this picture we can see Quwat al-Islam. Quwat al-Islam Mosque is here. So Quwat al-Islam Mosque and minaret. See Qutub Minar, that on Cobram type. Okay, so that minaret built during the last decade of the 12th century, and this was the congregational mosque of the first city built by the Delhi Sultans. Okay, actually the mosque was enlarged by Iltutmish and Alauddin Khalji. The minar was built by two sultans, already we have seen, Qutbuddin Aibak and Iltutmish, isn't it? Yes. Now we will see about Begumpuri Mosque, built in the reign of Muhammad Tughlaq, was the main mosque of Janpana, the sanctuary of the world, his new capital of Delhi. Okay, so Begumpuri Mosque built by whom? Muhammad bin Tughlaq, the reign of Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Okay, see children, let me tell you about masjid. See, a mosque is called a masjid in Arabic. So masjid is an Arabic word, right? So a mosque is derived from a word masjid in Arabic. So here Muslim will pray for their God Allah. Okay, then Muslims read their prayers, that is called namaz, right? Together they will do prayers. Actually members of the congregation chose the most respected learned male as their leader. Imam was the leader, religious leader for the rituals of prayer. He also delivers the sermon khutbah during the Friday prayer. So during the Friday prayer, who delivers khutbah? Imam. Okay, Imam was the leader, learned male. Actually he was a scholar, so he was their leader. Actually during prayer Muslims stand facing Mecca. Yes, in India this is to the west, this is called the Qibla. Okay, so during prayer Muslims usually stand facing where? Mecca. In India this is to the west, so this is called the Qibla. Got it? Now let me tell you about Motki Masjid, built in the reign of Sikandar Lodi by his minister. Okay, see children, the Delhi Sultans built several mosques in cities all over the subcontinent. Yes, we even today we can see so many mosques in all over the India, right? So these demonstrated their claims to be protectors of Islam and Muslims. So they thought that they were the protectors of Islam and Muslims. Got it? So mosques also help to create the sense of a community of believers who shared a belief system and a code of contact. So they wanted to create the sense of a community of believers who shared a belief system and code of contact. So it was they thought that it was necessary to build many mosques. Okay, so Motki Masjid built in the reign of REIGN, reign their period. Okay, so Motki Masjid built in the reign of Sikandar Lodi by his minister. Sikandar Lodi belongs to which dynasty? Lodi dynasty, isn't it? So Motki Masjid built in the reign of Sikandar Lodi. Got it? Children, let's recall what we have studied so far. Okay. So, Delhi became an important city only in the which century? 12th century, right? Because Delhi became the capital city of whose period? Tamora Rajputs, right? Then Tamora Rajputs were defeated by whom? Chauhans. Chahamanas, later they were known as Chauhans, right? Then Delhi Wall. It means coins minted, a place which coins were minted, right? Delhi Wall. We know. So, in which century Delhi Sultanate laid their foundation? Early 13th century, they started to establish their power, isn't it? Yes, then we saw about Delhi Sultanate and 5 dynasties made together Delhi Sultans. Who were they? Early Turkish rulers, in that Qutbuddin Aybak, Iltutmish, Sultana Razia, Gyazuddin Balban, then Khalji dynasty, Jalaluddin Khalji and Alauddin Khalji, then Tughlaq dynasty, Gyazuddin Tughlaq, Tughlaq, Muhammad bin Tughlaq, Firuz Tughlaq, then Sayyid dynasty, then at last Lodi dynasty. These 5 dynasties made together the Delhi Sultans, isn't it? Yes, then we saw about finding out about the Delhi Sultans. In that, what are the evidences, what are the sources help to historians to know about the Delhi Sultans. In that, inscriptions, coins and architecture. Among them histories, it means Tariq and Tawarik. Tariq means singular, then Tawarik means plural. Both refers histories only, because then the authors of Tawarik were learned men. Yes, generally they were who? Secretaries, administrators, poets and courtiers, right? Then we saw about birthright and gender distinctions, isn't it? Then Sultana Razia, how she was removed from the throne in the year 1240. Why? What were the reasons, isn't it? Then what is mosque called in Arabic? It is called a masjid, isn't it? Okay, what is the literal meaning of mosque? It refers a place where Muslim prostrates in reverence to Allah, isn't it? Just simply they pray for their God, Allah, right? Then what is called the Qibla? The direction towards which Muslims turn while offering prayers or namaz. Okay. Then children, what is hinterland? The lands adjacent to a city or port that supply it with goods and services is called hinterland, right? Okay, what do you mean by garrison town? Actually, it is a fortified settlement with soldiers, isn't it? Yes. Then, which was the language of administration under the Delhi Sultans? Persian language, right? Persian language was their official language under the Delhi Sultans, isn't it? Yes. Children, I hope you all understood these topics clearly, isn't it? Yes. Remaining topics will be discussed in the next video class. By the time you should read the lesson at home, then only the words will be familiar to you. Thank you.